brought to you by Hallow, the world's #1 prayer app.
I'm trying to improve my life a bit.
Okay.
Definitely doing that through therapy, psychiatry, all the works. But I find something I'm running into, kind of a roadblock, is that I compare myself to other people,
Okay.
specifically men, but it can be anyone.
So take me back, man. How'd you end up in a psychiatrist's office?
So this was about a decade ago, actually. My parents, my dad got a job with Nissan in Tennessee, right by you, actually.
Yep.
And he moved down to start the job when I was a junior. My mom stayed with me to finish high school in Michigan. And then when I graduated, she moved down with her. My senior year was just a mess, a complete disaster of mental health, emotional health. The whole thing was just a disaster for everyone involved. I got really depressed. I started going to therapy, psychiatry, and just doing whatever I could. And so it's just been a continuing road from there.
How old are you now, brother?
28.
28. So about 10 years, man. So
Yeah.
what did they label you with? What did they diagnose you with back when you were 18?
Well, when I was 18, it was major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety, a few other anxiety disorders.
Okay.
This last year, though, about a year and a half ago, they diagnosed me with bipolar type 2.
Okay. What had them? Why'd they do that?
So
Or
I
what
was
was the
on
presenting
medication.
behaviors is the nerd way to say that.
Yeah, so I was on medication Klonopin, which is obviously, as you know, a suppressant, a depressant. And I came off of it just to see, I think my anxiety will be okay, which it was. But then I started to see an increase in episodes of just feeling really, really good. So good to the point where I was like, man, I feel like I'm almost on cocaine or something. Like, I feel so good. And this happened on a repeated basis, about once a month. And I ended up finding a pattern and presented it to my doctors, and they said, wow, there really is a huge pattern here. It happens on the regular, once a month, just like expected. So they kind of diagnosed me with it.
Was there a problem with feeling really good once a month?
Yeah, because I was making mistakes, and I was not catching myself and just overall being a bit destructive in my life. I also spend a lot of money when I'm kind of in that high space.
Okay.
So
what do you...
one time I spent $500.
I mean, I spent $500 yesterday, but that's because it's deer season. I don't make great choices in deer season. What are you taking right now?
Quite a bit. I'm on Zoloft. I take risperidone, Lamictal, Klonopin, and I'm missing one, gabapentin.
Good God. Okay, so...
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, but you're taking an antipsychotic and you're taking gabapentin?
Yep,
you don't drink, do you?
No, not anymore. I'm 4.5 years sober.
Good for you, brother. Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
I won't get into your psychiatrist. That's a lot. Like, that tells me that you are either struggling mightily with major depressive disorder still, plus psychotic features, plus anxiety on top of it, and you're struggling to sleep. Is that right?
Struggling to sleep. I don't have psychotic features officially. I've never really dealt with those. We use the psychotics mostly for mania when it hits.
So is it as needed?
Yeah, kind of. I take it daily, but it really could be as needed.
Okay. How long did it take them to diagnose you with bipolar 2?
8 years.
I mean, when they started the diagnostic, did they do it right in one meeting? Because here's the thing, bipolar 2, I want someone to track you and follow you, and you come back, and that's something that they look at over time.
Oh yes, I've been seeing the same psychiatrist for 3 years now.
Okay.
And so there's definitely been check-ins once a month or so, if not more, just to kind of see my progress and how I'm doing.
Okay. All right, so...
and even she wasn't convinced at first.
Yeah. All right, so I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on my opinions there. Here's the bigger thing. How do you feel right now, man?
In this literal moment, a bit tense because I'm on a podcast.
Dude, nobody listens to this thing, Chris. Nobody listens to this. All right, yeah. You're on a podcast.
Yep. Overall, I'm feeling good. I'm a little stressed about work, but I think that's a healthy amount, normal work stress.
What does your activity
overall,
level
okay.
look like? You getting outside? Are you able to go exercise? You're on a lot of stuff that would suggest you're probably put on some weight. You probably feel pretty lethargic sometimes.
I feel pretty lethargic. I actually just put on weight and then lost it. I measured myself this morning, and I'm 20 pounds down,
Dude,
which is not saying a lot for me.
Chris, that's saying a lot for anybody, brother. That's a lot.
Fair.
That's excellent, man. So are you overweight now? Would you be classified as overweight?
No, I've never been classified as overweight, even when I was the heaviest I ever was.
Okay, so you're very, very thin?
Very thin, all of my whole life. I have the biggest gut right now I've ever had, which is, again, not saying much.
Okay. So where did 20 pounds go? I can cheer you on, but that may have been unhealthy 20 pounds.
No, actually, it was a healthy 20 pounds.
Okay.
I went from 148, which is what I was last year, which was very unhealthy. Couldn't gain weight. And then I put on like 40 pounds, 50 pounds, got to 200. And I was like, okay, I got a bit of a beer belly and I don't drink beer anymore. So time to do something about that.
I call that the gummy bear belly. All right. So
The gummy bear belly.
tell me how I can help. It sounds like you've got professional care, and it sounds like you are, I mean, you're staying in a pretty narrow window of behavior, and like your physiology sounds like you're like all of us fluctuate and go up and down. You've got a ton of medication, and that makes it tough, and you're able to still power through that, which is amazing. How can I help, man?
Yeah. Well, just hoping we could talk about how I constantly compare myself to others, whether that be through looking at, I have a friend who owns a house, and he's about the same age as me. And I'm sitting in my apartment right now that I can't even afford 100% by myself. I still get a little bit of help from my parents. So
what kind of work do you do?
There's definitely an aspect of that. I'm in insurance. I'm a property and casualty licensed customer service representative.
So it's your job to tell people no?
Unfortunately. I don't like telling people no, but...
Yeah. So, see how to approach this. Because as far as I'm concerned, few people could hold a candle to your bravery.
Thank you.
And few people will ever know, who interact with you on a day-to-day basis, few people will know the hell you walked through for the last 10 years and the struggles you maintain on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impressive.
Thank you.
And you're I say this like with a smile on my face. If you were here, you'd see this. And so this isn't a grenade I'm throwing, but you're pretty narked up. You got a lot going on. Like
a lot. I don't like all the medication for sure.
Pharmacologically. Yeah. So here's the thing. You getting up and looking and saying, hey, I still got to go do some things, and you going to get those things done. Dude, that's amazing. I'm impressed. The bigger question is, it sounds like you, for the last 10 years, you may have been wandering through, just going through the motions to make sure that you trust the next step you take.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Because if you don't trust yourself to spend money when you're up, you found yourself in a place where you don't even trust yourself when you feel good.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I never thought of it that way.
And your baseline is, I'm probably always feeling worse than the average person.
Yep.
And so you walk around every day with something that most people take for granted, which is you don't trust your own body. You don't trust your brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary place to be, right?
Oh, yeah. No, it's terrifying.
So you, while the rest of us are walking down the road every day, you're walking on a tightrope. And the fact that you're remotely keeping up with everybody is staggering. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And on the show, I'll tell you the truth, man. I would clown you, but I'm thoroughly impressed. An antipsychotic. I wrote down here. Did you say Lamictal too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And gabapentin.
Yep.
And Klonopin.
And Klonopin. Trying to get away from Klonopin eventually. I'm trying to find something to substitute it because I've been on it so long.
Yeah, that one's pretty tough. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
You getting up every day and getting after. I mean, it's amazing. The bigger question I want you to ask you is this. After 10 years of, I'm just picturing a tightrope between buildings and your arms are out and you're trying to stabilize yourself, right?
Yeah, totally.
After 10 years of that, I wonder if instead of surviving, you've never asked yourself, what do I actually want to do? Because I didn't hear in your voice that you want to be like an insurance adjuster.
Yeah, no, it's not a passion I have in life.
What do you want to go do, man?
You're asking me tough questions, shoot.
But I mean, you thought about
something.
it. You thought about like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
when you were like, man, I wish my brain worked like everybody else's, and yours doesn't. So here we are, right? Mine doesn't either.
Right.
When you ask yourself that, what would you do? What's your fantasy? What would you want to go do?
You know what? If I could do anything, I would love to be a Hollywood actor.
Okay.
I think that'd be a ton of fun. I went to film school out here in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Took some acting courses. Actually, wasn't the most amazing at it, but I was good.
Okay.
So I just think it'd be something fun to do. The hours would be tough, but.
So do you reach out to local shoots there in Grand Rapids or in local theater and just to act because it brings you joy?
I don't do local theater. I don't like getting up on stage in front of people.
Okay. From a social anxiety perspective, or just because you just don't like it?
Both.
Because here's the thing: if it's about anxiousness, I would love to see you try.
Yeah.
I would love to see you experience that anxiousness, and don't let your body's fear of what happens next rob you of a thing that you might love.
Yeah. Okay, for sure.
You've pathologized, not in a bad way, it's to keep you safe, but you've pathologized feeling good.
Okay.
And meaning like I would love to open up the Michigan trades and see what commercials or local like whatevers or even a small film that's shooting within a 2 or 3 hour radius of me. That brings you a lot of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much as the stage.
Okay, yeah. Well, I have a tendency, and I want you to run this by your doctor, but I have a bias towards if there is something in the vicinity of things that I love, I want to head into that problem. Can I give you a lame example that has nothing to do with what you're talking about?
I'm sure it won't be lame. Go for it.
I'm terrified of heights. In a comic way. I don't like getting on a ladder. Very few things in the world scare me. Heights scare me. And I love, love, love getting out in the woods and hunting all fall. And I have missed out on a lot of pretty neat opportunities because most hunting where I live is done in tree stands.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And so this year, after years and years and years of being out in the woods, I decided I'm going to get over that. And so I've taken some additional safety precautions, but also I've pushed myself. And here's the thing, I'm settling in already.
Really?
Like I feel it. I put my fist in my chest and I feel that I'm nervous. And then I say, okay, I'm tied in here. So if I do fall out, I'm just going to dangle from the tree because I'm tied in. And so then I begin to exhale through it. And now I am finding peace. But it just took like finding the thing that I was anxious about and going right into it.
Okay.
And you may be in a psychological state that you need somebody to walk with you. That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's great. But here's the thing. I want you to begin to ask yourself, what do you want to do? So the idea of packing up from Grand Rapids and moving to Hollywood, that's probably not going to happen right at this stage of your life. Fair?
No, and I've built a life here, so I don't want to leave it.
Okay. What like when it comes to performing, talking, thinking of people, like what would you want to do?
I'd love to be in front of the camera.
Okay.
That would be the best thing, which actually my boss just a week or so ago gave me a local talent agency and that I didn't know about. So it definitely is something I want to explore. But being in front of the camera would be my number one thing.
Okay.
Getting the chance to screw up over and over again until we get it right, because then it's a safe zone to do that.
Unless Kelly is your producer, and it's never safe. It's never safe, Chris. I'm going to do this. I'm going to send you a copy of my buddy Ken Coleman's book, The Work You're Wired to Do. And it's got inside of it, it has, and I'm sent to you for free, but it's got an assessment. It's called a Get Clear assessment. It's what he calls it, but it runs you through it takes a while, about 15, 20 minutes, but it runs you through a whole bunch of things and it points out some things you might be interested in. And the beautiful thing about actors, I think everybody on planet Earth, in high school and in college, should have to take at least one theater course and one counseling course. Because a counseling course would teach you empathy and how to sit with people, and a theater course would teach you how to stand in front of people and become ... right? And that will help you in sales. That will help you in any number of positions of having to give people bad news and deny claims or to say yes to claims or whatever your job happens to be. It helps you embody something else. And so if you love acting, Chris, I want you to spend some time acting. I would love that for you. If you don't like being an insurance adjuster, being an actor may not pay your bills in a way that you can go buy a house and deal with some of those deeper core issues. I would love to see you get on some sort of exercise program. So the next time you see your doctor, I want you to say, I'm going to start an exercise program. How can I get started? And dude, there's 1,000. I want you to check out my buddies, mindpump.com, mindpumpfitness.com. That's the ones I use, or Jordan Syatt, Syatt. They've all got great programs that you can use to work out with. But when it comes to comparison, here's the thing. It's hard because you see an outside shell of somebody. You see the world that you think they're living. And they see the world they think you're living, and they don't know how hard it is for you on a day-to-day basis, on a week-by-week, month-by-month basis. And so you may not have a home yet, even though you're 28. You may not have a six-pack, even though you're 28, and you're male and whatever. You may not be dating anyone yet, whatever. But, dude, you've got more bravery and strength than most. You've been going through it for a long, long time. And so I want you to sit down with your doctor and say, okay, we've been playing defense for a long time, 10 years. I want to start playing offense. I want to see what it looks like to begin to walk right through some of these things that I'm anxious about. And it's just exposure. I want to start walking through some of this stuff. I want to begin to get on the market and start dating. I want to get on the market and potentially get another job that might bring me a little more peace. And I'm going to start doing some acting stuff because I'm not married to anybody. I've got all the time in the world. After hours, I'm going to get after it. So, Chris, here's one last thing. I want you to write Chris, 35-year-old Chris, a letter. And talk about how good you're going to feel. Maybe 1 or 2 projects you've been a part of, or 4 or 5 projects you've been a part of. How you're going to go to the local talent agency and just start slowly dipping your toes in that stuff. Maybe join a local theater. Maybe start an exercise program. I want you to write a letter to 35-year-old you and make a commitment. You've been fighting hard for a decade, and I want you to start living now. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. And honestly, I can't wait to see what happens next. Cheer your friends on. When you see a buddy with a house, cheer him on. When you see a buddy with a six-pack, cheer him on. That's the antidote. Gratitude, like celebration. That's the antidote to comparison, I think. Download the Hallow app today and get 3 free months at hallow.com/Delony.